August 23, 2025. Well, we have a few things coming up here. I guess, first of all, as the week ended, the Federal Reserve Chairman's speech at Jackson Hole seemed to indicate he's ready to move a little bit in Trump's direction and ease some interest rates, but probably not as much as Trump wants it done, but at least something like that, and that set the market in motion. So that was a big one. Of course, the other big news of the day, of course, is the FBI search of John Bolton's home and office. And that leads to a lot of suspicions that he may have been up to no good. We know that Trump and him had a major breakup during their administration, and that after he left the White House, he had written a book which apparently had not gone through the normal security review that somebody that had the level of clearance he had is supposed to do, and published this. And then there's also, he was involved as an advocate for pursuing the impeachment of Trump, I think, during the Democrats' impeachment efforts, as we recall back in that time period. And so he's obviously persona non grata in the administration, and apparently they have now are taking legal action now. That there was already an investigation going on at the end of the first Trump term, but then when Biden got in, that effort was dropped, and apparently it was free and clear for those 4 years. But apparently it's come back, and evidence has surfaced, I guess, to the level that a magistrate would issue a search warrant. Of course, remember, well, Trump had the same thing happen to him too, if you recall, at Mar-a-Lago. So I guess a little payback there has occurred in a way, and we'll see what happens. There's a lot of suspicions about what this could be. One thing would be the most basic thing, that he had retained some classified documents which he used as basis of information in his book, and if he's caught with those, he could be in trouble, of course. And he may, and remember, the one thing that probably will save Trump more than anything else was he won the presidency. But the other thing was, in his defense, was that as president, he had the ultimate classification authority, which he was at times trying to tout as his defense, and other times kind of went in other directions. But at any rate, for the moment, that's at least behind him. But on the other possibility is that there could be business dealings with various interests. I don't know. Could be Ukraine, for example. I don't know, or somebody else, some other foreign entity that they're some sort of suspicious of. So anyhow, that's an ongoing situation, and we'll have to see if any indictments come from this, or whether it just kind of goes so far and fizzles out. But at any rate, I understand the Democrats are properly outraged about this, but they didn't seem to be outraged about the raid on the Mar-a-Lago on Trump. So it goes to show you it's all kind of nonsense, what they do, what the Democrats say, I mean. But this may not be nonsense for Bolton. It could lead to serious criminal consequences if he's still has possessed those documents, which seems to be a problem we're beginning to see at the higher levels, that they're not, sometimes people are not following the proper security protocols. Anyway, if you like these videos, please give me a like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. We need some more subscribers here. I mean, I'm just 3 short of 100, where something good is supposed to happen. So I'd appreciate it if anybody does. And of course, you could also follow me on Rumble, where I post these as well. Yeah, so at any rate, so moving on from Bolton, the other thing that's come out is the transcripts of the Ghislaine Maxwell, the girlfriend of Epstein, that they've released those interviews and I guess tape recordings to back them up, of I think about 9 hours of questioning. And of course, only a brief amount of it's really been publicly discussed on the news. But it's kind of interesting what's come out of here, or what didn't come out of here. She's asserting that, for example, that of course that Trump had never done anything improper, and apparently it never went to the island or to his homes either. And by the way, on the Trump side of this thing, I've said before that that's going to be a dry hole. The Democrats are being silly. If in fact there was anything that would get Trump involved with a kind of Epstein-like behavior, the Democrats wouldn't have missed the opportunity to use it, and he never would have gotten elected president the first time, probably. And certainly, they had full access during the Biden period as well to any transcript or data that the government had. So I think that if they had anything like that, they would have used it. That's why they were, grasping at straws to come up with other charges, which we noticed. The other thing was sort of notable. She said that she also claims that Clinton had never flown to the island. And that's news, I think. And that there was no list. That's not too surprising. I mean, like, are we talking about a document, a list, or a book, or something that has, like it's documented? I think that's quite plausible. There wasn't a list. The list would be something one would have to construct from the evidence of the people that were involved in this whole thing. But I don't think there necessarily is a document, the list that you can get a hold of. That's been a point I've been trying to make all along. And so Clinton never went to the island, and so she's sort of absolving Clinton as well, which is interesting because I thought other information from records on the airplane flight suggested otherwise, that he had gone there. So I don't know. I don't know what else was in the interview. There has to be a lot more for 9 hours, right? I mean, I don't know whether she was really asked in detail about to reveal who did go there, and that would be interesting. So at any rate, I don't think her ordeal is over yet. I suspect she will ultimately be subpoenaed before Congress, probably the staff initially, and then probably the committee public hearing as well. Because I don't think that's going to get dropped because there's even enough, all the Democrats are fired up about this and the Republicans have enough people who are interested that it will probably proceed. But so far, I think that it's, kind of the Democrats, I think, Hunter Biden is claiming that the real issue is that Epstein introduced Melania to Trump, and that's how they come to meet. That's what he's claiming. Again, the validity of that I have no idea, but that could explain a little bit of Trump's behavior here, is that she may be pressing against this becoming a big public issue or something. I don't know. It's hard to know what's going on there. There's all kind of rumors going on about them, and that's probably kind of, the Democrats make up a lot of stuff a lot of the time. So anyway, and one last thing I guess it's kind of worth noticing is that the other day, the Russians blew up a factory in Ukraine that was owned by a U.S. company, which was manufacturing video games, I think, and stuff like that. And it's kind of, to me, and of course that apparently led to some reaction from Trump, and he's now going back to issuing deadlines and threatening secondary sanctions, at least a little bit today. Or yesterday, not today, but yesterday. But the point I'm making is that I'm kind of like, well, why would Russia, at this sensitive time in the middle of negotiations between Trump and trying to get something going with Zelensky, which I'm not at all adverse to the theory that he doesn't really want that to go forward at this time, as far as the Zelensky and the peace deal. But why would you blow up an American factory at just this moment, which would agitate the American side of things and Trump to perhaps take actions? After all, he dodged the bullet on August the 8th, sometime back now, when these secondary sanctions didn't occur. Although some people are dismissive of the likelihood, and even I think that Trump doesn't want to do it, as I pointed out before, because if he does, it's very likely that what will happen is he'll just shut off trade with India and China, particularly China, and China will then embargo for rare earth minerals the United States, or greatly restrict them, and as a result, it'll end up exactly where we were last April, basically. And unless they all, and it looks like so far India has not at all backed off at 50% sanctions, on oil issues. So, but nonetheless, I just don't understand why they stirred that up. I mean, I can see the idea that, you might want to strike at some American asset given the number of times that U.S. made missiles have rained down on certain areas of Russia and destroyed a variety of things of value. But, you know, and some of them weren't purely military either. Some of them at least were dual use, to say the least. One time was some people on a beach, I believe, in Crimea, got some cluster bomblets right from an ATACM. So, but at any rate, I can see why they would want to do that. But at this time, seems like the wrong time to do this. So I'm somewhat puzzled at that. But anyhow, that's another thing that occurred, and of course the war goes on as always. We'll see what happens and what's going to happen on this attempt to get a Putin Zelensky meeting. I mean, I don't think, unless they've worked out a deal, I don't know what the utility of having a meet is, other than have it end up in a disagreement and then they leave. And we still also have another problem: where will the meeting occur? Which is interesting, because a lot of the countries that Zelensky definitely probably doesn't want to go to Moscow. So anyhow, we'll see. And a lot of the Western countries, I don't think that the ones that have that Treaty of Rome thing going, I don't think that Putin would want to go there either. So the diplomacy is being hampered by all these sanctions and so forth, and treaties that have been put in place that are kind of undermining diplomatic immunity. So anyhow, that's kind of that for now. So I'll be wrapping this up, and we'll be posting this on YouTube and Rumble as always. And the address of my social media accounts are in the description below. There's always some interesting material on X that I respond to Democrats and post some of my own comments, and a few other things. I have an interesting reaction to what Ross Coldhart said about something. So, anyway, all for this time.